All right, here we are. Welcome everyone to Edge AI Partner. We're here to talk about some of the new and interesting partners in our ecosystem and part of the foundation community. And today I have Keith Kressin from MemryX.
So yes, Keith, hi Pete. Good to see you. Thank you for the invite.
Yes. So Keith and I actually know each other from a previous life where he was at Qualcomm.
That's right.
And I was at Microsoft. How long were you at Qualcomm for?
A little over 13 years.
Yeah. So pretty good chunk of time.
Yeah, a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. Good times. So it's funny in this ecosystem. For me, I've been doing kind of where software meets hardware for decades. And so you kind of meet people over and over again, kind of that are in this area. And so that's kind of the fun of it, I guess, is you kind of re-engage with folks over and over again in different phases. But you've been with MemryX now for a few years now.
Almost 4 years. By this year will be 4 years, which is hard to believe.
Cool. Yeah. So why don't we get what's the origin story here on MemryX and what's the deal?
Yeah, MemryX was founded by a couple of professors at University of Michigan, and professors and a couple of their top grad students. So it was founded in 2019. And the goal was to create an edge AI accelerator, different from everybody else. I know lots of people have different ideas on how to be different. And but I was at Qualcomm at the time, and I reviewed their architecture and technology, really liked it, and decided to join and lead the company. So I've been there, since late 2021.
Cool. And are they mostly still Michiganders, I guess? Is that
we've expanded. So the heart of the company and the headquarters is still in Michigan. We have a couple of stragglers like myself out in California, a small team in Taiwan, a small team in India, and we're about to open offices in Saudi Arabia. So we have the address. We're just hiring now and had our first acceptances. And so by October, I'll be visiting Saudi, and we'll be inaugurating our office there.
Okay. Well, we'll have to have a chat offline about the kingdom, and because I think there's a lot of really cool tech happening there, and and it's kind of a real hotspot these days for investment and innovation too. So that's pretty cool.
They're going to be a major. They're going to be a major hub in the Middle East, no doubt about it. I think UAE and Saudi Arabia. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, I must keep you busy. I guess do you get a lot of frequent flyer miles then, flying around?
Yeah, now and again. Yeah, some good time zone action too. Trying to set up a meeting between all those sites.
Yeah, tell me about it. That's one thing we didn't solve. Like we really flattened the earth in terms of, meetings and other things like that. But time, curvature of the earth.
Yeah.
Tough one.
That's a tough one.
But so MemryX, so as I understand it, and I have a few questions about it because it sounds really cool. I mean, it's really I wouldn't say it's like a radical simplification of an AI accelerator where you have everything you need in an M.2 connector, and the accelerator, the memory, everything is just in there, and you can, I guess the one question is what makes it special and different? I'm curious about that. And this term that you were using called at-memory compute, I'm interested in that. And then also, where do you see this? Where are you starting to see traction? It's just kind of in my mind, when I read about it, I was like, oh, this sounds like ideal for brownfield computing or other platforms where maybe you have a compute platform and you want to add AI into it. And then this is like a way of doing that without redesigning the whole system.
That's true.
But so what's the special, what makes it so special?
Special sauce. Yeah, everybody's got something that's special. On MemryX, I think the architecture is the key. So it's a bunch of highly parallel cores, and memory is local to each of those cores. And the cores are all instructed as to what to do at compile time, and they all work autonomously. So there's no bus that exchanges information between the cores. You could make a chip with 100 cores, 1,000 cores, 1,000,000 cores. Memory is localized, and you could scale. So it all operates in parallel. So if you think of a CPU and a GPU, you have kind of a narrow bus that goes out. Obviously, GPUs, you have HBM, you have multiple buses to HBM, but it's always kind of a bus to memory architecture. Right. Here, there's no bus, there's no memory controller. It can operate with any memory that's local to the compute, and it's autonomous. So it really, really has good scalability.
Mm.
And complexity has been pushed as much as possible to the software layer versus the hardware layer. So it's very simple to use, very scalable. The compiler and everything is done in-house, very efficient from a power performance standpoint. But the scalability, ease of use, run models out of the box without tuning them, and we could build basically any design point. We chose to build, like you said, a form factor that goes into an M.2, so kind of single digit watts. But if someone said tomorrow, hey, can you build a server core? We have the foundation for it, and we could by just scaling up the design. So the architecture is really compelling. Of course, it's expensive to do silicon, and so we have a single chip now, the MX3, and working on our MX4. But we could almost scale to any design point, and the software and hardware is scalable for that. And then, what markets is for? We've initially targeted computer vision centric markets. And so we'll go into, a device that has a single camera. That's possible, but we're really, because the performance is higher, it's really good for any multi-camera system. So surveillance or security system, video management system, retail or industrial use, or a machine with multiple cameras. Those are all really good applications.
Yeah. And do you see it like in those kind of brownfield environments where people are like, I have a platform, I want to AI accelerate a platform, and then I can plop this thing in there? Is that like that?
Often. And by the way, we get some really old legacy platforms, like really surprising, the long tail. We have someone has a 32-bit platform, or someone has an old, one of the first PCI Gen 3 platforms that's more than a dozen years old. And they want to add AI to it, and it's an industrial application. They don't want to rip it up. They don't want to change the OS. They don't want to change the access, the application processor. And we just connect up to a USB or PCI Express port. You can offload all the AI to us, and we support, any Windows or Linux or Android, any x86, any ARM. And so it scales really well across different applications and frameworks and AI models. And so, that's the long tail. Kind of just update these ancient platforms but they work and they run, and they're for industrial use. And also, obviously, there's a number of new platforms that we can
Sure. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, we were talking before we started recording about revenue, but there's a lot of stuff deployed out there, and nobody is really motivated to rip it up and revalidate everything again, because probably the developer that worked on it is no longer there anymore, and blah blah blah. It's like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But there are all these new scenarios and new things. I was thinking about like vending machines and other things like that, where there's some level of automation in there and some level of compute, but obviously what's happening now in terms of AI and edge AI is way beyond what people originally imagined. So there's a huge opportunity for people, especially in the industrial, like you said, retail environments, to kind of add more AI capabilities into it. So that must be interesting.
That's right. And we'll go into each chip uses kind of a half a watt to 2 watts depending on the model. So we can go into a very small system like an individual camera, all the way up to edge servers where we have multiple M.2 cards, and someone, for example, has an NVIDIA powered server with A6000 GPUs or something else, and we can go in and say, wow, we can be much cheaper, much lower power, go to a 2U form factor, and we can process 50 or 100 data streams in that edge server for a lot less money, a lot lower power, a lot smaller footprint. And so there's a number of compelling applications. But this ability, by the way, we can run on one chip, or we can attach basically any number of chips to a platform, and it just scales linearly with the exact same software.
You mentioned a couple of like universal truths around edge AI there, like, being able to do things for less cost, less power, more impact. I mean, most people, when they get started with edge AI, they start with like a Jetson Nano box or something like that, which is, no harm, no foul, but then it's like, well, actually, do I need that? Do I need all that? So it turns out you can do a lot of AI with a lot less power and cost.
The Jetson's a very common starting point, because everybody happens to know NVIDIA, and they have a lot of cool software, and if someone wants, I'd say on average, we're about 20x better performance per watt. So if someone says, and lower cost, obviously. So if someone wants a smaller form factor, lower power, lower cost, less maintenance, then we're a good option to go to production.
Yeah. You mentioned the software layer, so you must have a pretty hotshot software team in terms of the compiler and optimization. And do you think about these paths, these developer paths that are coming from CUDA or coming from PyTorch, or like what are the different, how do you handle some of that transition?
Yeah. We start with, so we don't start with the CUDA optimized model, but we start with the trained model from, any of the modern frameworks, PyTorch or TensorFlow or TensorFlow Lite. So we start with just the trained model. And really our claim to fame is one click out of the box compilation without any model modifications. And everybody says, oh, no, you can't do that. But if you look at our website, we have, I think on our website now we have maybe 400 models that we show we can do that. And in our testing, we have more than 4,000 models where we just get them from customers. We scrape the web, all Hugging Face, all different sources. And we do a one-click compile. And then if someone, that gets the customer most of the way there, then if the customer is ready to deploy in volume, obviously we can work with them to optimize the model, squeeze every bit out. But really out of the box performance power, is stellar with the platform. So yeah, the compiler team is definitely, I would say, kind of the heart of the company. And we do everything in-house. The full AI design is including, the state machines and Macs and everything is done in-house, as is the compiler and the entire software stack. So we don't rely on anyone else's IP. It's all done homegrown within MemryX.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
that's cool. And so where are you at in you're obviously not public yet, so you're still private.
That's right.
How many series are you in, or what's your funding situation these days?
We completed the Series B earlier this year, probably raise a C next year. But we've raised a total of about $60 million to date, which sounds like a lot, but complete silicon, PCB, complete software stack, supporting lots of customers, working on the next generation architecture, everything in-house. If you look at our peers, everybody's raised, I think, more than 250 million plus. We try and be as frugal and efficient as possible in all respects, both in power and in fundraising.
There you go. Well, you guys are a bargain, so that's good. Efficiency all the way through, operations as well.
Exactly.
No, that's really cool. And so, do you have any particular deployments that you'd like to highlight? You mentioned some of the markets that you were going into, but any kind of, you've got your cocktail party chatter on your case studies and stuff. I mean, what's stuff that's really kind of gotten you excited?
Yeah. There's really a variety of different applications. So in manufacturing, we have systems deployed for defect detection. We have a customer, although it's not a big focus, we have a customer that's working on a drone, someone that's doing a handheld medical device. We have a construction safety application. We have a number of video management server-based applications. We have someone that's deployed many, many thousands of camera streams, and they're using NVIDIA-based servers. And we offer a pretty compelling opportunity. So we're not deployed yet, but we have the server in-house. We can show the advantage. And that'll take a little while to get the deployment out there, but I think it's going to be a huge advantage for the customer. So there's a pretty wide variety of, industrial manufacturing, VMS services, surveillance, construction. We're all about kind of computer vision and, like I said, single to multi-camera. And the more cameras someone has, kind of the more value they're going to get in using us.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned like workplace safety construction sites. People maybe don't realize the amount of tech that's being put into those sites is pretty. There's like OSHA and kind of a lot of regulatory safety things where people need to be monitored. And, there's even like noise level measuring. There's all kinds of interesting things going on at construction sites, visually, and the sound and the monitoring environmental conditions and stuff like that. So that whole space is really fascinating, because you'd think it's not a very techie thing. It's like a lot of dust and wood and stuff, but Yeah, there's a lot of tech in there. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Safety and compliance is critical. So making sure the right people are in the right zones, and they're prepared, and no one goes the wrong direction. And even construction site progress is some of the things
Yeah,
that our
sure.
customers want to do. Why have a 24/7 camera just staring at your construction site when you can use AI metrics, right, to evaluate progress? So there's a lot of really interesting and creative applications.
I had a kind of a funny sidebar. We have a house in Massachusetts. It's kind of out in the boonies, out in Cape Cod, and we had a septic problem. We had to get the drain field replaced, and so they did it they had to dig up the driveway to do it. And I had a Ring camera out there, so I'm like in Seattle, so I'm like monitoring this construction through my Ring camera. And seeing these giant, diggers and stuff like that. And it was funny, for about a week, like nothing happened. And I was like, So I texted the guy, Chris. I'm like, hey, what's up with the crew, And I guess they had been assigned to some other job and stuff. And so he's like, oh yeah, we'll get him back. But I was like, well, I'm glad I had my camera looking at my.
Yeah. And I don't know if you were just looking at it, but if you enable some AI metrics, what time they show up, what time they leave, how many workers are there, how often they leave the area they're supposed to be working on. I mean, there's a lot of metrics someone can get, kind of automated using AI these days.
Yeah.
It's
That's
really
fascinating. So how did you get connected with the Edge AI Foundation? How'd you get connected?
I knew about it from many years ago, the Tiny ML effort.
Yes.
And so I knew about it. And, philosophically at MemryX, one thing is, okay, build and sell chips. That's fine.
Sure.
But having something that's educational for others, really good documentation, open source community, broad-based, all these are philosophies that we have that align really well with the Edge AI Foundation. We just finished a summer training with the robotics camp at University of Michigan. We're doing a hackathon here in September. We're doing another hackathon in Saudi Arabia in October. We publish everything, publicly. We don't hide or keep things closed source. So someone can go to our developer hub and they can get, 100 examples, 400 different models. They can get all the software downloaded for free. We explain how it works. We have architecture white papers. So we want to be as open and easy to use and free as possible. And we thought, hey, that aligns really well with some of the goals of the Edge AI Foundation.
True. Yeah, no, that's true. And we underwrite a lot of educational programs. And I'm making a mental note to connect you with this guy, Marcelo. We're running actually a program in Colombia, Latin America, I think at the end of this month. Might be too late for that. But yeah, I think that, it's almost insatiable, the hunger that's out there to learn this stuff and to implement it. And that's one of the benefits of this type of AI is that you can do it hands-on,
Right.
And, no cloud required.
Exactly.
Which is kind of cool.
And, we really, really go out of our way to make it as easy to use as possible. So, one of the summer programs on the robotics, these are high school students using an AI accelerator and programming it using all different models, integrating into, it's not just theoretical into physical objects that they're using AI acceleration. And we want to be as easy to use as possible. So we can scale to not just, the hardware, but scale in terms of people. And that's the education aspect and giving back to the community is really important to us.
Yeah. Cool. So what kind of advice would you give? There's so many startups out there doing AI stuff. Obviously you're coming at it from the silicon angle, and you've been in the industry for a while, kind of know the deal. Like, what are your words of wisdom when someone comes up to you and says, hey, I want to start an AI company, do X, Y, and Z?
Oh, yeah. Well, one is to survey the market, because there's a lot out there, a lot of creativity out there. And you need to have something, special and differentiating as one. Two is realize you can't do everything yourself on AI. So partnership is extremely important. Just about everybody requires partners at some level. And so I think doing the upfront diligence, what do I have that's differentiating? What partners do I need? Ecosystem? What value can I provide for my customer? And what really am I all about? And is it sustainable? Am I a product or a feature, or am I a company? These are the sorts of questions. But I think a lot of people kind of just jump into it very quickly without doing the diligence up front, and you need that to be successful. So
Yeah.
especially these days, there's so many AI companies, and if you're not in AI, most people can barely tell the difference. And so you really need to put go beyond ChatGPT questions to do diligence for yourself on kind of the right path to move forward.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. That's good advice. And, doing that due diligence, being honest with yourself and your product, like you said, are you a product or a feature? And is it sustainable? Is it scalable? I mean, these are all questions obviously investors will ask you anyway. So good to sort of answer those first before you get in front of some Sandhill Road folks or whoever that'll.
Yeah, those guys are increasingly skeptical. They've heard a lot of stories in AI land, and you need to bring more than just a good story to them.
Need to be buttoned up pretty good. Cool. Well, Keith, it was really great to catch up again with you. Hopefully see you in person at some point soon. And wow, MemryX sounds really cool. And I encourage folks to go to your website and learn all about it. Anything else? Any other call to action other than the website?
I think our website has a link to our developer hub. Cool. And you can, not that this is a commercial, but you can buy the product off Amazon. You can use all the software, plug it into any system with an M.2. All the software is free online. And so I encourage, like I said, high school students can use it. I would encourage anyone that's interested in learning about more about AI and edge AI and want to do the tools. Hopefully we have all the resources that are out there. And if we don't, we have an online community. We can answer any questions anyone has.
Awesome. Yeah. Sounds very accessible.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, Keith.
Great talking to you.
Thanks.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
So I'm going to hit end, and then it's actually recorded locally. It's going to upload to the server. So don't close your window yet.
Okay.